Folks, measurements. We're talking measurements today. We get a ton of questions, obviously, in store and online about measurements, buying guide questions, that sort of thing. I'll give you a quick rundown here on how to shop online with confidence, and also how to come into the shop ready to expect certain sizing. Because the one thing you'll learn very quickly with menswear and heritage menswear is that tag size is sort of more of a suggestion for certain brands, especially when you're moving from like an American brand to a Japanese brand and then back to a European brand. It can be really challenging to just be like, oh, just to have it in your head that you're a medium and order a medium and everything. There's going to be drastic changes in fit from garment to garment. And you're also going to realize that your pant size is probably not accurate as well. A 30 from one brand is not a 30 from another brand. No, you're not actually a 32 inseam. That can be humbling. But yeah, I'll just give you a quick rundown. As a chronic online shopper myself, and as someone who has a very strange jean fit, I've gotten very comfortable with my own measurements. And so it's one of those things that once you've sort of got them in the back of your head, it makes it a lot easier to both purchase online and when you're reaching for the rack, if you don't have help or if you're trying to shop alone, it can be easier to find stuff that works for you. So we'll start with the pants. Pants are a little bit simpler in some ways and more complicated in other ways. In menswear, we're pretty fortunate. Most guys, it's really just two measurements that matter, and that's going to be the inseam and the waist. The waist being this sort of crucial measurement. So there are a lot of different ways to measure the waist of your pants. We do it pretty simply down here. So we're just going to lay them flat, face up. I suppose you could do this face down, doesn't really make a difference. And then you're just going to measure from one edge to the other of the waist. So here I'm getting like a 39.5 centimeters. So you're just gonna take that measurement and you're gonna multiply it by 2. So that takes this from 39.5 centimeters or 15 inches on the dot to 80 centimeters, give or take, and 30 in the waist, which, since it's Naked and Famous, that's a 30 on the tag. So if it were Levi's, obviously it'd be a very different measurement. The other ways you can measure waists, and this will happen a lot with certain brands, is you can either pull the button flush with the rear waistband and then pull it tight and then measure, which is going to give you a slightly wider measurement, or you can try to take the circumference of the jeans, which is a little more challenging to do. For us, it's just quick and dirty right across the back. If you have any questions about that, just let us know. And then inseam is dead easy. So you're taking from the crotch seam all the way to the bottom of the pant. So it's easiest when they're laid flat. There we go, 84 centimeters on the dot, which comes out to about 32, 33 inches, 33 on the dot. Naked and Famous is pretty good. I think almost every single one of their pants is a 33 inch on the dot. Some of them are 33 and a half. The other measurements that you're going to want to pay attention to with pants, especially if you're definitely not an off-the-rack fit like myself, the big ones for me, the most important measurement is hip. So if you've got a little bit of a caboose on you, this is going to be a really important measurement. So taking the hip measurement here, that is a 47 centimeters, and I'm measuring just sort of, if you draw a straight line across the garment parallel to the top of the waistband, you want to hit sort of just below the pockets. So I'm getting 47 centimeters there, comes out to 19 inches-ish. For reference, I wear like a 22.5 hip. So these would be snug. Another important measurement is going to be your rise. So your front rise is pretty straightforward. With the pants laid flat, I'm just starting all the way down at the crotch seam. Jeans are super easy. Their crotch seam is super easy to get to. And I'll just measure straight to the top of the front waistband. So I'm looking there, that's a 30.5 centimeters, or just about 12 inches on the dot, which is a pretty standard rise. Nowadays, in what I would call like a medium to a medium high rise, you're looking at about 12 inches. Standard rise would be 11, and then low rise is anything sort of 10 and below. And again, I've got weird tastes, and I'm out here in like a 13 and a half, 14 inch front rise. So just depending on what you're after, it can be a very different measurement. Back rise, you're gonna do the exact same thing. So I've just turned the jeans over. There's your crotch seam. There's the top of the waistband. And I'm just going straight up. So that's 38.5 or 15 on the dot. So super standard, super straightforward. And then the last couple measurements you might want for your pants, again, if you've got sort of bigger legs, these are gonna be important to you. If you don't sweat it, you'll be fine. So for me, another important one is going to be your thigh measurement. So how to do that is, depending on the brand, again, thigh measurement can be taken from the crotch seam across, or it's usually about 2.5 inches below the crotch seam and you're just measuring across. So this one is looking at a 30 centimeter thigh measurement or 11.5 inches. And then these are the strong guys, so this isn't gonna be the healthiest example in the world, but obviously most pants have a taper to them and they'll get thinner as you go down. So you can take your thigh measurement, you can take your knee measurement, and then you can take your hem measurement as well. And that'll just give you a sense of how aggressively the pants taper, which on these guys is kind of not at all. So that makes my job a little easier. So that's most of the measurements most people will need for pants. Again, if you ever have any questions about fit, or if you're curious about measurements, or you want to double check measurements, just reach out. I'm happy to go through. I can be a little tape measure, I'll wander the shop, I'll measure whatever you want. We'll make it work. When we get to outerwear, tops, shirts, that sort of thing, it can be a little more complicated in ways, but honestly, in terms of just finding something that'll fit, it's a little bit simpler. So just like pants, there are sort of two main measurements that you're gonna want when it comes to menswear tops. And that's gonna be your shoulder measurement and your chest measurement. So shoulders are dead easy. Turn the garment over onto its face so that its back is up. And then you're gonna go right across, flat, shoulder seam to shoulder seam. So that is a 53.5 centimeter shoulder, or about 20.75 inches. And then you're gonna take that, turn it over so that it's facing up, and this is how you're gonna get your chest measurement. So again, there are different ways to get different measurements. We use a pit to pit. So you're taking from the armpit seam on one side to the armpit seam on the other side. So that's nice and easy. That is 66 centimeters on the dot. Turn her over. That's almost 26 inches. So that's nice and easy. And then for most people, that'll be enough when it comes to the top. If you have terribly long arms or terribly short arms, you're obviously gonna want that measurement as well. For that, I usually do a measurement from the outside of the sleeve. So you're gonna measure from the tip of the shoulder to the end of the cuff. So that is a 27-inch sleeve, 70 centimeters on the dot. So again, similar to all the other measurements we've taken, different brands will do it differently. A lot of brands will measure from the armpit to the cuff, so you just want to make sure this is something you're paying attention to. If they don't explain how they're getting their sleeve measurement, just triple check. It's probably somewhere on their website there. And then another measurement that can be important, usually if you're either, again, sort of at the extremes, either tall or short, you're gonna want the length of the actual garment. So for that, I'm gonna measure from the collar seam, so not from the top of the collar, but from the seam where the collar is attached to the garment, all the way to the base. So that one's gonna be nice and easy. Just a straight drop down, top to bottom. 71 centimeters, 27.5 inches there. And again, there are all sorts of other measurements you could need. If you've got huge arms, you're gonna need to do similar to what we did on the pants with getting the width of the leg. You'll have to do the width of the sleeve. But yeah, so again, when you're shopping online, we try to be pretty good about getting measurements in the descriptions of our products. So I want you to be able to shop online with confidence. If you ever find there's a product where I've been slacking and I haven't got the measurements in there, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be happy to measure whatever you need. And if you're in store, this can also be really helpful. When we're shopping and we find something that works really well for you, it's no problem at all for me to just throw it on your customer account or for you to make a note in your phone, just so that you have in the back of your mind, oh, these are the dimensions of a silhouette that works for me really well. I find that lets me sort of confidently take things off the rack and know that it's gonna work or not work. And it's just a way to sort of build up these almost like fit categories in your head of like, if I'm wearing oversized, I don't want it any wider than this. If I'm wearing tailored. I don't want it any narrower than this, or I can't move, that sort of thing. So again, measurements, they're dead easy once you know how to do them. I'm always happy to help. Give me a shout. You can reach out through Instagram DMs. We've got our contact email on our website, which I cannot figure out how to turn off the alerts, so I'm definitely gonna get that one. But yeah, if you ever need a hand with shopping online, give us a shout. We're reachable. You can even call us and I might pick up the phone. So swing on by, check us out, providenceptbo.com or 131 Hunter Street West. You know where we are. Come say hi. Thank you.